talking today about designing for voice first interfaces. Now, I have an understanding that majority of the people we're going to have on this call for this session are product managers. But so I will be um, I'll be bending my conversation towards product managers a lot, but also um, a lot of what I will be saying will tend towards the product designers as well. But in general, this is going to be useful for everyone. Uh, so, just a quick introduction about me. My name is Michael Ayodele. I am currently based in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm a product designer with about 7 years of working experience. I'm also an instructional designer with about 2 years of working experience. Before I became a designer, I was a software engineer for over a decade. Yes, I know that's a lot, isn't it? So yeah, um, I am a mentor. I'm a foodie. I like food, different kind of food. Uh, but I must say though, I'm not too keen on Ugali. Last time I had it, it knocked me out. But yes, I'm an adventurer. I love traveling to different places, meeting different people. I'm a marathoner. I love running. Um, so I've run different marathon, and also I'm a cyclist. I also cycle. So a little bit about that's a little bit about me. So moving forward, so today we'll be going over a few topics of over a few things regarding designing for voice first interfaces. And as you can see here, we have quite a bit to talk about, but I will try to go through everything so we can finish on time and have enough time for question and answer. So without much ado, we're gonna get into it. Now, introduction, designing for voice first interfaces. So when we talk about voice first interfaces, what are we talking about? We're literally or basically just talking about interfaces that prioritize voice commands as the primary means of interaction between users and technology. So again, let me welcome everybody. Welcome to today's session on designing for first voice first interfaces. So, in an era where technology is becoming increasingly integrated into our lives, voice first interfaces have emerged as a transformative way to interact with devices and services, from smart speakers to virtual assistants. Voice first design offers a seamless and natural means of engagement. So in this presentation, we're going to explore the fundamentals of designing for voice-first interfaces, and we're going to delve into significance in shaping the future of user interaction, right? So like I said earlier, these are just interfaces where the primary means of interaction is between the user and the technology is just, using your voice command. And it basically means that the user interact with it through their speech rather than using a graphical user interface such as a touch screen or mouse. An example of devices or interfaces includes Amazon Alexa, Apple Series, and Microsoft Cortana. I'm sure a lot of us, or few of us here, will have at one point or the other interacted with such interfaces before. Now, quickly, let's talk about the different advantages and disadvantages of VFI, which is voice first interfaces. Compared to other type of interfaces, voice first interface offers several advantages. They allow for hand-free operation, which can be useful in situations where users cannot physically interact with the device, such as when driving a car or cooking in the kitchen. I mean, they use the advantages in that regard is endless. They also provide a more natural and conversational interaction, which can be helpful for users who may find traditional GUIs challenging to use, such as elderly people or people with disability. Another advantage is also accessibility. You know, they provide an inclusive experience for people with disabilities, like I mentioned earlier. It supports visually impaired users and those with limited dexterity, and all this is done by removing barriers from allowing interaction through voice commands. Also, speed and efficiency is faster than typing or navigating through menus. Users can retrieve information and perform tasks more quickly uh, through streamlined interactions, which will improve the overall user satisfaction. What are these disadvantages? Um, Designing effective voice-first interfaces can be challenging. Unlike the GUIs, voice interfaces do not have a visual interface to guide the users, which can make it a bit difficult to provide contextuality uh, to relevant responses. Also, voice interfaces also require a different approach to information architecture and user flow, as user may not be able to see all the available options to them at once. Overall, designing for voice-first interfaces require a deep understanding of user needs and behavior, as well as thorough knowledge of the technology and its capabilities. So just to set the context before we move forward, I would like to mention, you know, different type of interfaces we have currently in today's world of technology. So it will help us relate well with what we're talking about when it comes to VFI. So first we have GUI, which is graphical user interfaces. I know that a lot of us are used to this. This is the most common type of interface, and it relies on visual elements such as icons, buttons, menus, and forms to enable interaction between the user and the technology. And examples of this, like I said, includes desktop applications, mobile apps, and websites. Then we have the command line interface, which is basically text-based commands, and the lack of this is what we have in Linux. When you have your command line in Linux, that's an example, a good example of that. Then we also have gesture-based interfaces. This type of interface relies on physical movement and gestures to control the technology. We have, for example, motion cameras, motion sensors, virtual reality interfaces. Also, we have tangible user interfaces, right? And this is a type of interface that use physical objects to interact with the technology. For example, we have game controllers, musical instruments, and the like. Then the last one is the last one is a brain-computer interface, and this is the type of interface that uses signals from the brain to interact with the technology. Although this is still in the early stage of its development and is primarily used in medical research and assistive technology. So, what are the examples of VFI that we have at the moment? For example, we have smart speakers. So we have devices like Amazon Echo, Google Home. We have Apple HomePod, which responds to voice commands. It provides in providing information and perform tasks and control the smart devices. We also have voice assistants. These are digital assistants like Siri, Google Assistant, Cortana, and these assist users with tasks, searches, reminders, and the like. We also have in-car voice control. So modern vehicles offer voice commands for navigation, entertainment, and free communication these days. And lastly, last but not the least, we have voice activated appliances. And these are home appliances such as smart microwaves and refrigerators that can be controlled using our voice commands. So, what is the difference between what are the differences between the traditional graphic interfaces to VFI that we have right now? The first, the first difference is the input mode. So, voice-first interfaces rely on spoken language, while traditional graphical interfaces use text or touch-based input. Then we have natural interaction. Voice first interfaces aim to replicate human conversation, making interaction to feel more conversational and intuitive. Lastly, we have screen dependency. Graphical interfaces require visual attention, while voice first interfaces enable interaction without visual cues. Voice first interfaces offer a new paradigm of interaction, emphasizing the power of natural language and audio responses. Understanding these differences is crucial when it comes to designing effective and engaging user experiences. Now, when it comes to design VFI, what are some of the design principles that we need to put into consideration? The first, the first one is conversational design. Conversational design focuses on creating natural and engaging interaction between users and the VFI. Design We should design the interaction as if users are actually having are they having the conversation with a human, right? The second principle is context awareness. Now, context awareness involves understanding the user's situation and tailoring responses accordingly. And to do this, we utilize user data, the location, their preferences, and previous interactions with the interface to provide relevant and personalized information to the user. Next one is is minimizing the user effort. Basically, this is to strive to reduce the user effort by making interaction as frictionless as possible. And the way we can do this is to use clear and concise prompts so we can avoid unnecessary steps or information. Another principle is personalization. And personalization basically enhances the user engagement by delivering content and interaction that is tailored to individual preferences. And to do this, we can gather user data over time to offer personalized recommendation and experiences. Another principle is prompt clarity. And basically, this is saying that we should have clear and concise prompts to help users understand how to interact with the interface. And how do we do this, or how can we do this? Is by using simple language and avoid ambiguity to prevent the user confusion. Then another principle is feedback and confirmation. And this is basically to provide immediate feedback and confirmation to assure users that their action were understood correctly. And to do this, we use auditory cues, we use visual indicators, or even verbal responses to acknowledge user input. Another one is, that's supposed to be accessibility. Accessibility basically is designing the interfaces that are inclusive and accessible to a wide range of users, including those with disability. And how we can do this is to incorporate voice command as an alternative input method for users with mobility challenges. Then we have the continuous learning, which is basically that voice first interfaces be able to continuously learn from users' interaction to improve future interactions. And the way we can do this is to implement machine learning algorithm to enhance the understanding and context over time. But as we all know these days, technology comes with its challenges. So the same thing applies to VFI. So when it comes to voice first interaction or interfaces, what are the challenges, consideration that we should bear in mind or we need to look at? The first one is context ambiguity. And this is when users may not always provide clear context when they are interacting with the interface. And the solution to this could be to implement a context sensitive prompt and confirmation. For example, when you're interacting with the interface, you can give a sensitive, or you can give a prompt or confirmation that did you mean to order a large or small pizza? So that way the user can be concise and remove ambiguity. Another one is privacy concern. So voice data is sensitive and requires secure handling. So the solution to this privacy concern is to basically clearly communicate data usage and provide privacy control to the user. For example, we can let the user know that your voice data is only used for improving our services. I'm sure that sometimes when we call customer service, some of us, they will tell you, oh, that this call may be recorded, but it's only for the usage of the company, something like that. Then another one is user frustration. It's another challenge. And some of the frustration can come from misinterpretation and errors that can come up from using the interface or from using the device. A solution, one solution to that could be to offer a clear list of voice commands that we or allows users to ask for help don't, when they're not clear. For example, you can say, "Oh, what's the weather?" or "Tell me a joke," something like that. Sorry, my apology. You can say, for example, "I'm sorry, I didn't understand," or "Can you please repeat?" Another challenge is cognitive load. And basically, this is when user may struggle to remember the available voice commands when it comes to interacting with the device. And the solution to that could be to offer a clear list of voice commands that will allow users to ask for help. Then another one is multilingual challenges. And this is basically supporting multiple languages and dialects. And this in itself can be a complex thing. And to overcome this, we can invest in robust language understanding models and allow users to set preferences and train models to handle a diverse range of voices and accents. I know this is a lot when it comes to machine learning languages. Um, so an example again could be to ask which language would you like to use when users are interacting with the device. And then lastly, we have interference and noises. That's another challenge when it comes to using VFI. Background noise can disrupt your voice interaction. So a solution to that could be to use voice cancellation algorithm and author voice training for noisy environment. For example, the device or the VFI can ask, oh, it seems a bit noisy there. Let's try again. So that way the user gets to repeat what they're trying to say. Then we have conversational design. And what conversational design is basically saying, right, is the importance of natural and human-like interaction. Conversational design focuses on creating interactions that feel natural and intuitive to users. Mimicking human conversation helps users to feel more comfortable and engage with the interface. And natural interaction reduces cognitive load and make the experience more user friendly. What are the different tips that we can have when it comes to crafting conversational design? Number one, understand user intent. Anticipate what users might ask or say and design responses accordingly. We can also use simple language. We can opt for clear and concise language that matches the user's level of understanding. Another one is to empathize and relate. So we can craft responses that show empathy and connect with the users on personal level. Another tip is to provide feedback. So we offer immediate feedback to acknowledge user input and maintain a fluid conversation. Also, user personality. We can develop a consistent brand voice or persona that aligns with users' expectation. We should also avoid repetition, which is basically to minimize repetitive phrases and responses to keep the interactions engaging. Then we should offer guide or we should guide the conversation. So we should lead the users through a structured dialogue to achieve their goals efficiently. Another tip is to offer options. So we present the users with multiple choices to guide them towards their desired outcome. Then we should also take note to account for errors. We should plan for misunderstandings or errors and provide helpful suggestions to correct them, the users. Then also, we can inject humor, whenever or where appropriate. Injecting humor or clever responses can actually enhance users' enjoyment. But remember, the key to conversational design is to create interfaces that flows naturally, provide value, and make users feel like they are interacting with a helpful and understanding entity. Now, context awareness, right? It goes without saying we need to pay a bit more attention to this. By designing with context in mind, we create more seamless and valuable voice first experiences for users. Context awareness is crucial for creating meaningful interaction in VFI. By understanding the user's situation, their preferences, their location, even their environment, we can provide more relevant and helpful responses. And talking about relevant interaction, imagine a weather app that provides local forecast based on the user's current location, or a language learning app that adapts its lessons to the user's proficiency level. Then we have personalization, and basically context-aware designs enables personalization, enhancing users' engagement and satisfaction. For instance, a fitness app could suggest workout routines based on the user's fitness goal and also the available equipment at that particular time. Then we have conversational continuity, which is basically context-aware interfaces will maintain the context of ongoing should be able to maintain the context of ongoing conversations, allowing users to refer back to previous interactions seamlessly. I think at the moment ChatGTP is quite good at that. uh, I'll say that's one good example that I can say or use for continuity. Chat GPT is very good with that. Then we have multimodal interfaces. All right, multimodal interfaces basically combine multiple modes of interaction, such as voice, touch, and visuals to create a seamless user experience. This in turn enhances user experience. Multimodal interactions offer a whole more holistic and intuitive way for users to engage with the technology. All right. And so we have different scenarios where these multimodal interactions are in use. For example, we have navigation and directions. So user speaks the destination while also viewing a map on the screen. And this provides a comprehensive and real-time navigation experience. We have the like of smart home control, where voice commands to adjust lights, temperature, and feedback is displayed on the screen. And this basically simplifies control and monitoring of smart devices. Then we have e-commerce. It's another scenario. This is basically where you use voice search for products coupled with the visual display of the options. And basically, this helps streamline product discovery and selections. Then we also have educational apps, and where you have the voice explanations complemented by relevant visuals on the device. And basically, this enhances learning, uh, comprehension, and also engagement. Then we have the like of healthcare applications where voice inputs for symptoms while viewing suggested remedies, right? And basically, this facilitates more accurate symptoms reporting. Then we have gaming interfaces where you can combine voice command with on-screen action, and this creates more immersive and interactive gameplay experiences. Um, Sorry, I just went through each and every one of them. So, what are the benefits of multimodal interfaces? We have accessibility, which is basically to cater to diverse user preferences and abilities. We have redundancy, which is basically having a backup mechanism in case of errors or inaccuracies. We have enhanced understanding, which is basically visual and auditory cues to reinforce each other. Then we have personalization, where users can choose their preferred interaction modes. So these are just few benefits of modal interfaces. But when it comes to VFI, what are the best practices, the practical guidelines for effective voice first design, right? We have So when creating a voice first design, there are consideration and practical guidelines to follow. Number one, we have conversational flow, which is basically to craft natural, user friendly conversations that mimic human interactions. We have clear prompts, and this is basically to provide concise and clear prompts, guiding users through interactions, right? Concise language that aligns with the user's expectation and basically avoiding jargons and complex phrases to ensure effortless understanding. Then we have context awareness, which is basically to design for context, ensuring that seamless transitions uh, and consistent experience are taken into consideration. Then we have feedback. And feedback basically is saying that we should offer timely and informative uh, feedback to confirm users' input and actions. Then we have personalization, and this is basically to tailor interactions based on users' preferences and behavior for a personalized touch. Basically, understand your target users, their needs and preferences, then tailor the interactions to align with their goals and behaviors. Then we also have error handling. Error handling basically saying we should anticipate errors, provide friendly error messages rather, with potential solutions. We should provide options for alternative interaction method if needed. And we have multimodal compatibility, and basically this is saying consider how voice interaction complement other interface so we can have a whole lot more cohesive user journey. And last but not the least, we have simplicity. And basically this is saying keep interactions simple, avoid complex or lengthy exchange, keep response concise while delivering your information, and avoid verbosity to maintain user engagement. So these are a few guidelines that we should consider. Then let's take a case study. Let's look at a case study, and in this case study, we'll be looking at Amazon's Alexa. Now, Amazon Alexa is a prime illustration of a highly successful voice first interface design. It was developed by Amazon, of course, and it stands as a trailblazing voice first interface design. It was launched in, I believe, is in November 2014, and basically Alexa has revolutionized the way users interact with technology through natural language processing and advanced AI. Now, what are the key features of Alexa? Natural language understanding. Alexa comprehends and can respond to spoken language and also creating intuitive conversations. We also have context retention. Alexa remembers previous interactions, and that enables seamless and contextual conversations with the device. We also have a skill ecosystem. The extensive skill library expands the functionality, offering diverse capabilities like weather update, news, and smart home control by the device. Now, what are the outcomes and the impacts that Alexa has created? Seamless smart home control. Alexa's integration with smart devices enables convenient voice control over homes. Then we have the enhanced accessibility, where Alexa's empowers individuals with disabilities by providing a hands-free and voice-driven interface. We have the voice commerce, where users can make purchases, order items, and manage shopping lists through Alexa. Then we have the cultural impact, where Alexa has become a cultural phenomenon influencing how people interact with technology. Then also, what are the design insights that we can get from um, Amazon Alexas? Number one is the human-centric approach. Amazon's focus on natural conversation and user needs drive Alexa's design, and this is very key. Then we have iterative development, which is basically the regular updates and user feedback contribute to the continuous improvement of Alexa. So these are like two major things that we can take as a design insight from Alexa. Then, what are the lessons that we can learn from the angle of the voice first design? And basically, Alexa's prioritize users' experience. User-centered designs ensures a seamless and engaging interaction with the device. Then it also embrace multimodality. So Alexa's integration with visual displays showcases the potential of multimodal interfaces. In conclusion, Amazon's Alexas exemplifies the effective voice first interface design, showcasing the transformative potential of natural language interaction in various aspects of life. Um, so when we're talking about VFI, voice first interfaces, what are the, what does the future hold? What should we be expecting in future? As voice first interfaces continue to evolve, we anticipate exciting advancements that will shape the future trajectory. Emerging technologies like emotion recognition hold the potential to add a new layer of personalization by enabling systems to detect and respond to users' emotional states, enhancing engagement and empathy in interaction. Furthermore, the integration of artificial intelligence is expected to uh, to also empower voice-first interfaces with more sophisticated natural language understanding allowing for more nuanced and context-aware conversation. Now, these trends signify a path towards more intuitive, empathetic, and intelligent voice-first interfaces that can cater to users' needs and emotions in unprecedented ways. We also we also have others like predictive contextualization, which is basically a forward-looking approach in designing voice-first interfaces that holds the potential to revolutionize user experience by proactively anticipating and fulfilling user needs by analyzing a combination of user behavioral, historical interaction, and real time context. Predictive contextualization empowers voice assistants to offer timely and relevant information, actions, or even suggestions without requiring uh, explicit user commands. Then we have the multilingual and dialect support. And this is where we cater to diverse linguistic backgrounds and accents. Then also there is the bioacoustic identification, which is a cutting-edge technology that leverages the unique characteristics of an individual's vocal pattern or acoustic features for the purpose of identification and authentication. Just like we have fingerprints or retina scan that can be used to establish someone's identity, bioacoustic identification uses the distinctive qualities of a person's voice to verify who they are. Isn't that amazing? Then we have the ethical conversation consideration and privacy, and basically this is speaking to the like of dynamic evolution of voice first interface, the paramount importance of addressing the ethical concern and safeguarding user privacy, which cannot be overstated, of course. As these technologies become more integrated into our daily lives, it is crucial to ensure that the design, the development, and even the deployment of voice first interface upholds the highest ethical standards and respect also user rights. So we have the like of responsible user data usage, preventing bias and discrimination, security and unauthorized access, as part of things to consider when we're talking about ethical or privacy of the users. And this also we some things we also have includes long time implications. The And we're talking about the data ownership, by the way, when it talks about that. Then we're talking about regulation and compliances, which is basically adhering to laws and guidelines. In conclusions, right, what are the key takeaways that we have when it comes to voice first interfaces? Voice first interfaces offers hand-free natural interaction with technology. Designing for voice first involves conversational design and context awareness. Multimodal interfaces combine voice with other modalities for richer experience, overcome challenges like context ambiguity, and prioritize user privacy, and engaging human-like conversation enhance user engagement and satisfaction. Now, as technology advances, voice-first interfaces are becoming integral to user experiences. Now, when we embrace these design principles to create intuitive, accessible, and delightful interactions, um, we get to explore the possibility of voice first design and be at the forefront of shaping the future of users' interfaces. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of designing for voice first interfaces. Let's move forward together into the exciting world of interactive voice driven experiences. Thank you very much. At this point, I would like to take any question from anybody.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Um, that was really awesome, Michael.
Thank you very much for thank you.
So, guys, don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, but I have one. What about
Yeah,
accents? What happens?
yeah. So if you catch the part of what I said earlier, um, so one of the challenges I mentioned this as one of the challenges earlier is basically accents and dialects. Okay, and part of what I said with improving the VFI is having a more advanced machine learning language or advanced AI to basically take into consideration different people's accents and dialect so they can easily interact with VFI interfaces or devices. So yeah, it's a challenge. It's one of the challenges that we are currently facing, but the technology industry is also working tirelessly around working. I mean, working on advanced ML machine learning language to overcome this.
Awesome, awesome.
Any other question, guys? Thank you very much, by the way. I really appreciate your presence. And these are my social media handle, my LinkedIn and my Twitter. So you can reach out to me on any of these platform. Thayer, Roy, um, do we what's next? What do we look out for the question?
Yes, yes. The boss has a question. Continue.
Hi, hello. Michael, thank you. That was a very good session. Learned quite a bit. My question is around the issue around, and you might have said it, but the issue around learning, how the system learns. Uh, Probably to contextualize the question is, if you've got Alexa in the home and you've got it's in France and guys are talking in French and it's in English and guys are talking in English, and that issue of the diction and the dialects, how do you get on the back end, how do you put an analytics program or a learning program where the system keeps learning and then it can literally now begin to contextualize, so that if you're, let's say if you're in Spain and you're from one region and you speak, and from the other region you speak, then you can be able to tell the nuances and the differences. What type of program do you put on the back end so that it can accelerate that learning or harness that learning at large scale?
Right. Thank you very much for that question. I don't know if I've actually partially answered that during the course uh, of the conversation, the session. But so I'm not I'm not a developer. I'm a designer. Let me put that out first. Um, but I'm sure that there are people who are machine language developers, right, who are working tirelessly on on basically improving the back end of these interfaces. So I mentioned it earlier that at the moment, of course, we have different people from different countries with different dialects, with different tone, with different accents, right? How does they take this into consideration? And I think AI is playing an integral part of this. in of this development. So right now we have AI being able to differentiate different languages, of course, right? So if someone is speaking French versus if someone is speaking Spanish versus if someone is speaking English, right? That can be easily detected. Now it's not a question of accent, right? And as you will appreciate, some people's, let's take English for example, right? The way the way say a Scottish person will speak in English will be different from the way an American will speak English, right? So they both speak in English, but it's the difference in the accent, right? So um, the device, the interface of the devices are being built right now to the point whereby they can actually pick. In fact, they are at a point right now that they can tell you the accent you're speaking in. Yes, they've actually improved their the back end to that point. So, but this technology is improving every day, and I'm sure they're gonna get to a point where it will be seamless to use regardless of what language you're speaking or what accent you're speaking. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yes, you've been able to answer, and thank you for that. Now, just the final one before I silence is, I also know you're not on the finance side, but what type of capital is going into these new types of interfaces, on the continent or even globally, and who are the main finances? Is it development finance, or is it private capital, or is it academia? Where do you see the money coming for these types of projects?
Thank you for that question. I think that question will be properly or could be properly answered by whichever company is building uh, the application. Are you with me? So different companies, of course, we have different means of how they get fund. So depending on what they're working on, the project they're working on will determine where they get their fund from. Some would have investors that will invest in them. Some would have grants. Some would have um, shark tanks um,
Yep.
that would be, that would be backing them. So, and then again, how much is required depending on how far, or how big the project is, and how big the project is determine how much money is needed and where they go to source for the money. So that's a question that I might not be able to answer directly because obviously different companies, different means of doing things, but yeah, everybody have a way of where they source for their fund.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much. I think we have somebody else up. Yes, Ismail. Yes, please go ahead. Lekon.
Yeah, hi Michael. That was a great presentation. So my question is in twofold. The first part is around, with the involvement with the evolving AI and how AI gets smarter every day, and now we have different devices that plug into AI.
Yeah.
Is like all of the things you mentioned. Anyways, so how do we ensure the privacy of the user? So because the major thing that will determine how acceptable the solution is will be around privacy. Do I know, like the example of Alexa that you cited, there has been report of being a false true kind of approach where Alexa tell you they don't listen to your conversation, but just a single tap, it started blinking. So there's that kind of concern from user perspective. So how do you think from design perspective we can give user that kind of level of comfort or level of guarantee that their privacy is secure? And the other bit is still around privacy and security. Now the device are smart enough to recognize different voices or different language, like you mentioned, but a lot of work still needs to go into identifying the exact user or the specific user that is interacting with the system. So, do you think it's early enough to, to start adopting voice first design approach, especially when it comes to crucial applications, maybe financial or things that are related to that requires a high level of security?
Okay, thank you very much for that, Ismail. So two questions. The first one is around privacy, and the second is around security. Am I correct? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. Okay,
Yeah,
so
right.
all right, great. So, in terms of privacy, to be honest with you, privacy will always be an ongoing issue when it comes to technology. Are you with me? Um, Before now, we've always been having privacy issue. Right now, we're having privacy issue, and we'll still continue to have privacy issue. But that doesn't mean that um, we're not going to have solution towards that at all. And part of what I mentioned earlier, right, is um, when it comes to privacy, users' privacy, because this is um, voice-driven interfaces and devices, right? It's one of the key thing is to ensure the user or assure the user rather that their information or certain information about the user is not being kept, okay, to be used or to be shared with another company or with another organization, but it will only be used for their own use for the company that owns the device itself. Are you with me? So that's the point where we should start talking about responsible data usage in form of informed consent. So sometimes you notice that on your mobile phone these days, when you want to share something, maybe from your phone gallery, they'll first of all ask you, do you give us permission to access your gallery? And you say yes, something like that. So things like that can also be put in place, right, for also VFI to make sure that or to ensure that the user give their consent before the usage, then also assure them that okay, their information will not be shared or will not be used maliciously. In terms of security, when it comes to voice first interfaces, I would say that is still something that is still being greatly worked on. We have something at the moment, but it's not there yet, right, within the technology industry. I mentioned something earlier. I mentioned bioacoustic identification, right? Where basically you can use your voice, the characteristic of your voice, basically to verify you. Now, just like your fingerprint is unique to you, and your retina is unique to you, right? Also your voice is unique to you as well, right? So when you take into consideration your vocal patterns, your acoustic, right? And there's one more feature about your voice. Three things that you can put into consideration, put together, and it will this English distinctively identify you as a person. So even when someone comes and trying to imitate your voice, right? They can't get in because the application or the system will put a couple of things, like I mentioned earlier, the three things into consideration before it can verify you. So this is the angle I think security is being addressed when it comes to VFI. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, very well. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. I think Olasun Komi, you also raised your hand earlier. I I want to believe that your question has been answered. We have 5 more minutes to spend, so questions are welcome from everybody, even if you didn't start at the beginning. If you have any questions, something you're not clear about, you can ask. Thank you very much, everyone. Thea, I will hand over to you.
All right. Thank you guys for attending our monthly meetups. Can you hear my feedback from my side?
Yes, we can hear you.
Do you hear any interference or feedback?
No, not at all.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you guys for showing up. I see a lot of our Nigerian brothers and sisters have really come through. Thank you, Michael, for bringing eh, your community with you. So this is Product Managers Kenya. It's a collection, a community of product managers here in Kenya. We love our designers as well as our business analysts. So you're welcome. And we have sessions mostly the second week. Yeah, let me just confirm. Yes, so the second Friday of every month. And mostly we do like case studies, talks, your experience as a PM, and also, just basically a fireside chat with industry experts, people who have done this for quite some time. So far, we have done 2 talks, the last one and this one, and so far, so good. So maybe before I conclude the meeting, how many here are PMs? Please raise your hand using the, raise hand icon. How many are product designers? Okay, the boss. Okay, Roy, Victor. Let's stick to product managers first. Okay, so 2. All right. Uh, Raise them down. How many are designers? Okay, 4. All right. How many are interpreters?
Oh, Thea, we also have developers. We also have developers in the
Oh,
mix.
how many developers before we go to entrepreneurs? Software engineers, developers. Interesting. Okay. Here. How many entrepreneurs? Let's raise down before we. Entrepreneurs 2. Still the same developers. Okay. All right. Welcome the ones that are just joining us. Sheila Moriuki. I think I missed the other one. Karibuni sana. That means welcome very much in Swahili. All right. Um, if anyone here is in the PM's group, Kenya, you can email us. Let me just drop our email. productspeoplekenya@gmail. Let me share that. So it's on the chat. You can email us requesting the group link. And mostly I encourage PMs who are not in the community and also anyone else who is interested in joining. All right. Thank you very much. The recording will be provided between today and Friday. Sorry, today and Monday next week. Thank you very much and see you next time. Same place. Asante sana, karibu sana.